Hello, we're going to take a look at the Shark Force 160mm class fan. Let's get right into it. So, a little bit of cross comparison against other fans, Shark Force, Tough Fans, Noctuas, about roughly where its ranking is. Mine, for newest data, I do recommend that you watch my best of videos and see where it actually ranks. A little bit of spec information, 27mm thick, it's a 160mm class fan. It's kind of a rare size these days. It's RPM, airflow, you can take a look at it. So the first set of testing is the case simulation test. This is an idealized circumstance where it simulates a computer case. So you want to take a look at the data point that best represents the computer case you plan on buying. So the 6-inch mark is representative of your standard ITX type cases, front to back airflow with an air cooler. All of these tests assume an air cooler. So if you're looking at AIOs, radiators, or whatever, I do recommend that you kind of jump ahead, maybe a little bit. If you're just looking at sticking an AIO on the top, then airflow still does matter to get airflow to your GPU, so stick around. The 6-inch mark does also represent airflow from the bottom of your case up towards your GPU, assuming you bottom mount a fan, or an inverted case top flow into your GPU. The 9-inch mark is representative of a compact tower, 220mm class fans in terms of computer length, or a standard ATX motherboard with no real extra room inside, therefore, well, a longer GPU. The 11-inch mark is your standard mid-tower case. 320mm class fans would be in terms of its length. 14.5-inch mark would be a large tower, something like the Fractal Design Torrent. 340mm class fans would be most applicable to that. We need something to compare against, so I have a control fan. It is base 3 parts A12X5 to 1 part A14, creating a composite 130mm class fan. Now, 140mm class fans tend to do better than this fan at the 11 and 14.5-inch mark, while 120mm class fans tend to do better at the 6 and the 9-inch mark. So it just creates a baseline to compare the things against. So in this rough comparison, we got my control fan, we got the Shark Force 160, we got the X2 GP18, it's an 180mm class fan found inside the Fractal Design Torrent, as well as the NFA20 as good comparisons. So the Shark Force is crushing them all. So if you can jerry-rig your case to hold 160s from 200mm or 180s, it might be worth it. How about at maximum airspeed at 100% pitot fan signaling? Well, the Shark Force is crushing it here again. And it is only slightly noisier than the X2 GP18, the big fan found inside the Torrent. So if you could stick this thing in it, well, you might improve your noise levels without sacrificing too much in terms of your airspeed through the case. As it compare against, well, other fans. Well, no surprise, it is ranked towards the top of the graphs, particularly as the cases get larger. But ironically, there are fans that do a little bit better than it, even at noise normalized results. If we take a look at things cranked up to 100% PW fan signaling, well, RPM does matter, and really high RPM fans will crush it in this test. But given its large size, low RPM, it's doing really quite well. And if we take a look at the noise level, this last number on my data points, it's not particularly noisy compared to the other fans in the test, so use that however you like. Next, airspeed versus that decibel rating, that noise level, and it's ranked towards the top of the graphs at this 9-inch mark. So it's a good choice as a case airflow fan. Now, unfortunately, there isn't through the cooler testing because as far as I know, there aren't any 160mm coolers. If I'm wrong, let me know, and I'll figure out a way to strap this fan to a cooler and get airspeed measurements going through it. Well, besides that, well, there actually might be coolers that are that big, but they're probably rare, and well, let's not get into it. So we did CFM testing. CFM testing is basically a scientific test. It basically is air volume in to air volume out, but it doesn't tell you how good that air actually moves into a case, and that quality of airflow does matter for air cooling. But if you're just doing your own at-home wind tunnel, or if you're making a custom water loop, so you've got a bottom radiator, top radiator, and you just need airflow in, then CFM testing would be just fine for you. And right here, the Shark Force kicks butt, I guess. We got the Shark Force 140 in here. It's doing just fine. It's more like the control fan. If we take a look at the noise versus CFM, noise horizontal, CFM vertical, well, it's kicking butt again, so it's ranked towards the top. So if we took a look at the noise norms results in CFM, it's the best at the time of testing. If you're looking for, well, actually, my best of doesn't use CFM testing in it because I can't compare 120s to 140s. But it was the best of at time of reviewing this fan, and I think it's still there. So it's really good at noise norm results. How about at 100% pitot fan ceiling? Well, not quite as good. It still ranks really well, but RPM does matter, and well, the higher RPM, despite slightly smaller fans, the A14 and Iceberg Thermal Extra are just better than it. But all things considered, especially considering its noise value, it's doing really well, so it can be forgiven. CFM versus decibel rating compared to other fans, best, top ranked. But if you need really high airflow, you need a higher RPM fan. That brings us to value. It's a $35 fan, which given its odd size isn't a bad price. But it does put it on the more expensive side, and it doesn't have basically a justifiable enough high airflow to justify the price. Now, there are things that this value proposition doesn't incorporate. It doesn't incorporate quality. It doesn't incorporate quality of the bearing. It doesn't incorporate noise level that it generated. It's just airspeed per dollar. So you should look at the other videos or other sections of the video to figure out what best suits your needs, as well as other reviews. But if you're just trying to make the most cheapest build possible for whatever reason, then you'd focus on this and ignore everything else. And the Shark Force 160 isn't the best value, even at 100% pitot fan ceiling. At the 11-inch mark, it's not a great value. It's a good fan, but it's not a great value. CFM testing, same story. So it's up to you to determine which fan best suits your particular set of needs. I'm just trying to present the data as best as I can to allow you to make a educated decision. That brings us to the end of the video. This is the raw data. I like to show it at the end of every video. This data does belong to me and my channel. If you want to use it for your own personal use, you may go ahead and do so. But if you're going to use it in sort of written publication, journal, whatever, you need to give me credit because I worked long and hard to get this data. If you like what this channel is doing, want to see it grow, succeed, that sort of thing, allow me to be able to afford to build a couple test systems to actually get thermal data for my testing methodology, I ask that you think about, dropping me a super, becoming a patron, becoming a YouTube member. I understand that asking someone to give money essentially to me to help fund this channel is a hard thing to ask for, but just hitting that subscribe button does go a long way. This channel is completely unsponsored, and I only get a minuscule amount of money from YouTube ads. Anyways, but I'm going to try to keep making videos as long as I can. This sort of thing is what I'm interested in. I am an actual aerospace engineer and have a fundamental background in computational fluid dynamics. If there are fans you want me to test in the future, leave it in the comment section down below. I'll try to get around to testing them. Other than that, thank you for joining me on Computer Tech and More. I hope to see you next time, and have a great day.